one, Brian Petrie coming weekly, Wednesday takes. Not a gamble when I ramble, all my slime balls we parlay. We just stick to the money, the tickets no funny, the chalkboards get in the bag. Nothing to stage, top in the cage, needed a chin and he lay on the mat. It's Wednesday takes, making Wednesday great. You'll see in MMA, Big Gun Brian, no denying where he be and what he say. Word of my cappers, we speak facts from start to finish. What's the weight? The value boys, we showing love. CGI dub is Wednesday takes.
I don't do Wednesday takes enough because I always forget what a fucking banger Big Griff lays down on that. What's up with the what's up, baby? It's Wednesday takes. If you're new here, you don't know what the fuck Wednesday takes is. You know, I'm the gambling guy, right? I pick fights on Anakin Florian. I do my own show where I'm a capper. This is more of kind of just talking about whatever, obviously MMA related. Going over some maybe recaps of China 319 gambling. That I got a demand list, a fucking demand list for Paramount Plus's new deal with the UFC. We'll go over some of the new stuff. Maybe we talk about some fights and stuff. We got some topics. I got notes. We got topics or whatever. First things first. This show, and all shows are sponsored by 3 Punch Combo. Go to 3 Punch Combo right now. We just did something different. We just added something different. There's two forms. A lot of people are posting, we're still in the infancy. We're still in the baby, we're not even crawling yet, right? We're not even crawling yet, but it's popping, it's booming. It's what we want. We're in the right direction here. But there was two forms. There was a general discussion forum, and then there was the MMA Takes podcast companion forum. Really wasn't getting a lot of traction. Everyone's going to the general discussion, which is rightfully so. That's where all the fighters are posting. That's where it's popping, right? But we sat down. I had a phone call with Russ, and we're like, you know what? Really want to make that more gambler driven, right? We have a lot of cappers. Trends posting his weekly contender series breakdowns. Vaughn, the capper Vaughn, on Twitter. I'll put his handle when I edit this on the screen. He's in there doing his like analytic shit, like computerized shit, right? All that's going to be in the new form. It's called the Capper's Cave, presented by MMA Takes podcast. And basically what I'm looking for is a cartel, boys. I'm looking for a cartel of the nastiest motherfuckers out there that are going to win money. When we walk in, when we do a 3PC meetup and we're wearing the cartel shirts that are going to be made, and we walk into any book in Vegas, any book in Chicago, any book in Cincinnati, any book in New York, New Jersey, wherever, we walk anywhere, they're like, fuck, there's those 3PC cartel boys. They're going to take our book blind, because what it is the greatest minds, again, greatest gambling minds coming together and placing our bets, or not placing our bets, sharing our bets. And then, I don't know if I should share this, if Russ gave me the go ahead or not. Maybe I should talk to the brass about this, but I'm going to tease it a little bit here. So unlike Discord, right? Because a lot of the forums and everything's getting compared to Discord. Everyone's hawking the Discord. Follow my bets on Discord. That's cool. This is a very similar thing as Discord. The only difference is we have professional fighters in there. We have professional fucking MMA handicappers in there. We're doing it right? But imagine you giving out a bet, right? You giving out, hey, I really like RDR. This is just hypothetical. RDR next fight by submission, or RDR under 1.5, whatever it is, right? You give that out. You place that with your own money, because you're good at placing anyway, because you're a degenerate gambler like me, which I love, right? You're a capper, so you're going to place your own plays. You're giving it to the community. What if you win that bet on your own, and then you win it within the 3PC community, the cartel, the Capper's Cave? You're going to win money two ways, because we're going to take one of those legs and we're going to create a parlay, right? An 8-legger, 9-legger parlay. And if we win, if everyone gives one play and that wins, it's going to be placed for us, right? We don't have to put any money up front. We win a percentage of the bet. See what I'm saying? So you're giving out a play, and you're giving out RDR under 1.5, and you go and you place that on your own book. You win however much money you win. Then you turn around and it hits in a parlay. So you're winning two ways off your fucking bet. And the one way you're winning, you're not putting any money up. You're just giving us a great bet. Discord doesn't do that. Discord is dick, bro. That doesn't do that. 3PC, we're always evolving. We're trying to grow. We're trying to give you what you want. So I need a cartel, baby. Go to the Capper's Cave. There's going to be a video I'm going to put on the screen right here. If you're not familiar with how to do it, this is going to be the desktop version. Mobile might be a little different, but you just click the Capper's Cave, and that's where we're going to share all our gambling information, all our picks, all our breakdowns. Everything's to go through there. My exclusives, my giveaways, all that will be through there. I'm going to really ramp it up, and I can't wait. And I do want to apologize because I'm not a great multitasker, admittedly, right? And I was so fucking keyed up and geared up for Chicago, like saving money, working, going to bed early, like all my focus was on Chicago, right? I overlooked everything. This podcast slipped through the cracks. I saw someone write on 3PC and I've gotten DMs as well. I was having some audio issues on my side, which are now fixed, where I couldn't upload the audio portion to actual podcasts. I figured, it's on YouTube, they'll be all right. But me being a truck driver myself, podcast audio are incredibly important to us. So I was lacking on that side. Luckily, I got that fixed. But Chicago consumed such part of my brain, and I want to apologize. I feel like there's things slipped through the crack with me. Maybe I wasn't posting much on 3PC. Maybe I wasn't tweeting as much, engaging as much. My brain was just get me to Chicago, right? Because I was melting at work. I was having a little bit of a lower back issue. Wife and kids are amazing. We're great, right? But and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'm still dealing with the death of my mother. That's only been 8 months. My stepdad, who, how to put this kindly, I gotta kind of, like, it's almost like I have a third kid at this point. He's very lonely. He lives in a house by himself. He lost his wife. He lost his mother in November before he lost his wife in January, my mother, and his only relative, his brother, lives, hour and a half away. And, he's cooped up all day. I get, and I'm not even fucking exaggerating with you guys, I get 30 to 40, messages on Instagram. He'll send me a funny meme, a funny clip, a funny whatever. Like the guy's going through it, right? So it's almost like an extension of a third kid. I'm really kind of taking care of him as well. So a lot was on my plate, but I'm getting better and I'm doing better mentally, whatever. But my whole brain was just Chicago. Get to Chicago. You get a break from it all. You get to watch amazing fights. You get to be with your people, seeing everyone there and UFC, and they're similar to me, and everyone. It was incredible, right? Even though the loudmouth next to me kind of ruined some spots for us, but it mentally was getting me to Chicago, and I feel like some things kind of fell by the wayside. I still got to hang out my belt. I want to do some different things around my scenario here. So all things are starting to move in the right direction. I apologize for maybe slipping on some things, right? But we're doing a Wednesday Takes. We're here, baby. I woke up from a nap about 20 minutes ago, and my wife would kill me if she saw me go on air with my hair like this, but I don't give a fuck. We're doing a Wednesday Takes, bro. I don't have time to gel it, to shower it, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? I have the weird skin where I can't shower multiple times a day. It's a 1 shower day for me. My skin is so dry sometimes. It's a multiple shower. I can't when I was younger, I would do it. I didn't care. Had dry skin. Even if I moisturize, I still get dry skin, right? And yesterday, trust me, we'll get into some MMA related topics, but we have so much cardboard. So long story, this is MMA related. I have an awesome garage full of, I'll post a picture of my little daughter right here. Okay. That picture right there. You see how clean behind her that garage is? For 5 years, the first 5 years we lived here, I prided myself on having a garage. The people across the street from us, when the garage is open, it's a storage unit. The people next to us, you can't even walk in the garage. We have kind of an extended, bigger garage. It's not quite 2 car, but it's 1.5, right? So there's really good room over there. And I turned that half into a gym. I got some mats down. I got some, what type of mats are they? Plug them, Brian. So they're a sponsor. God damn it, I forget what kind of mats they are. MMA related mats, wrestling type mats. I got those down, right? And then I got the boxing robot that broke. I got that on the wall. I got the water bag. I had a bag, an old decommissioned Everlast bag that you would put on the wall that I would throw kicks at. I got a grappling dummy. right? Like I kitted the gym out. I kitted the garage out, but it was spotless. And for the past few years, I would say probably the 2 years, again, I don't want to blame my late great mother and everything, but she was everything to me. I mean, the woman and I went through a lot of stuff in our life. So when she got sick, I got fatter because I stopped taking care of myself and only cared about her. And my only two concerns was, instead of going to the garage and working out and having a good, trying to better myself and doing something that I love and staying in shape, I was a father. I worked, I did this, and I cared for my mother. That's all I cared about, right? So my health and everything went down the drain. Like, I'm not unhealthy. I'm just saying I gained weight, which if I was older or whatever, I'm getting older, but if I was older, it could be drastic. But blood pressure, all that shit is still fucking, I don't know how it is, but it's still like a goddamn hummingbird, like a goddamn Olympic athlete. Anyway, we have boxes upon boxes. My wife, every time we go to my in-laws' house, like, hey, you want an old Christmas tree from us? My wife's like, yeah, not because I have a truck. So just throw it in the truck, right? We got all this shit in the fucking garage. And, I'm motivated now. I'm hungry. I want to get back to training. I want to get back to in the garage. I want to get back to sweating. I want to get back to bettering myself. I'm feeling a lot better of a person, more myself since my mother passed. So day one was, let's get rid of this shit. And cardboard is such a pain in the ass. We have two big garbage cans, but if you don't put everything in those garbage cans, the guys won't touch it. My first time here, my first garbage night here, we had a bunch of boxes because we had all this moving stuff or whatever. I cut everything up. Take a little I cut everything up and do a perfect square. Duct taped it, right? It was a big old thing of cardboard, but it was gorgeous. It was super nice and neat, not just thrown on the curb, right? And I put that right next to my trash cans, thinking, okay, this just throw it in the he threw it back in the yard. They won't take it. So everything has to go in the trash cans. Well, I have two fathead children, and we make a lot of meals at home. We don't eat out a ton. So there's a lot of trash. There's a lot of fucking trash. So there's rarely times where I can fit enough cardboard in there. I'd be doing it for months. So last fall, I got a little metal piece of shit trash can from IKEA and started doing a burn barrel. And my kids loved it. Dude, they loved it. They thought it was the coolest thing in the world. So I went to a hardware store up the street, and they legit have like a real trash burner thing, like not just some bullshit thing from IKEA that was melting as I'm burning the cardboard. And I got that yesterday. It was a little chilly yesterday, but it got kind of hot in the afternoon, and we started. I got maybe 15 boxes done. Still got about 10 more, but we're getting the garage clean because I'm back in the garage. I'm going back in the garage. I'll post some videos. I'm excited about it. I want to get down there, get back in somewhat shape, because, I still get messages. I said, forever growing the Anik and Florian, I want to take a fight before I'm 40, right? And I said that before my mother got sick and everything like that. And obviously that would be still the goal, would to take an MMA fight, before I'm 40. I'm 39 now, so time's a ticking, right? Maybe we'll, the unforeseen circumstances of my mother getting cancer and having a long battle, we could have never predicted that, right? So maybe I'll move the benchmark from 40 to something else, because I would love to get one MMA fight in my life, since I'm such a huge fan, and that was the goal early on in life. But instead of, I still to this day, people are like, dude, that's inspiring. I hope you're still doing that, blah, blah, blah. I'm not, I'm getting fatter, right? I had gained a lot of weight. I think I'm back to my original weight from what I was gained from, the initial blow from my mother, passing, but I don't think I'm still fat, right? You still need to lose some weight, but I'm not as fat as I was, which I guess is a positive. But, the point being is that is still something that's in my mind, that it wasn't just something I said to say it for people to give me an attaboy. I would love to compete one time. And to do that, you got to take steps in the right direction. And that steps for me is I'm way too out of shape to go to any gym. There's a gym right up the street. There's a couple little bubbling gyms throughout Cincinnati as well that I've kept my eye on as well. And some really young, talented fighters. Obviously, Hunter Frazier. He's a little far away. Hunter Frazier is like the goddamn Middletown. That's a little far away from me. He goes out there to Saken MMA and Team Relentless and stuff with Roger Bowling. They're a little farther away from me. But either way, I'm way too out of shape to go there. I need to hit my garage first. And again, I got some sick setup in the garage and really kind of get in shape there, and then branch out. But that is the goal. And so Burn Barrel yesterday was a lot of fun with the kids, man. I don't know what it is. I was never a pyro as a kid, but goddamn, I like watching things burn. I like doing it. All right, so let's quickly go over 319. You guys probably don't want to hear about burn barrels all day long. I'm not going to cover everything from 319. We'll go to China next, which I thought was a pretty decent card. 319, Lerone Murphy. I got to start with him. People probably think I should start with Chimaev. I'll go Lerone Murphy. He needed that KO. This is a young, talented dude. And I shouldn't say young because he's 34, right? This is a young contender without a huge name, without a huge win. And he went out there and performed on short notice, up 10 pounds, even though he was fighting 45ers on short notice. And, I wouldn't say he looked phenomenal. He took some good shots. He survived a lot. He proved his toughness. But the elbow was fucking money. The best spinning elbow knockout maybe I've seen. I know Prates had one right before him. I prefer Lerone Murphy's. Prates was pretty sick too. But Lerone Murphy's about killed Aaron Pico. About fucking killed the guy. So is he next for Volk? Listen, I think he will have. I think he deserves it because of what he's done. Is he boring? Fuck yes. He's boring. Even when he talks, he's boring. I look at him, he's boring. He fights boring, but super high level guy. And I think he's earned it, right? I think he has earned it. Are they going to give it to him? I don't know. He pulled out of the fight with Pico, which the UFC doesn't like. Murphy is now coming off this huge knockout win. Volk says, I'm fighting in December. It was supposed to be Yair flirting with Yair. I prefer Lerone over Yair. We've already seen Yair fight Volk. So yeah, give Lerone Murphy the shot. After this KO, he needed that. If he would have beat Pico by decision, he would have squeaked one out. We're probably not talking about him. But he's spinning elbowed. Boom! KO'd a young prospect who I love. And I think you give him the shot. Why not, right? If they give it to Evil Love, I'm not going to cry. Because I do think, and I know it's not a popular opinion maybe, because he is, again, just boring, paint drying. But he is super high level. It'd be interesting to see how Volk handles that real hard grappling style. So obviously they would get my money. They always get my money. But I prefer Lerone Murphy just to get a shot because he's 34. He's not some young buck. He's 34, and I would like to see him get a shot here. And then Pico loss. Yeah, okay, so I got to address the Pico loss. Derek Myers, I believe, is a commenter, YouTube commenter, who comments. He watches his show. He's very, I don't know if he's critical, right? But he's not he doesn't suck my ass all the time. He'll basically say if things suck, if things don't. I'm sure he'll have a problem with the first 15 minutes of the show of me talking about God knows what. But I appreciate that. I appreciate honesty. As long as it's not hateful, as long as it's just you're sharing your opinion. Like, hey, bro, I watch you every week. That fucking sucks. Quit talking about that. That's constructive criticism, is my opinion. As long as it's not hateful, right? But Derek Myers commented on the live I went with Joe and Zuck. We did the 319 pick'ems, and I was all over Pico. I said, give me Pico. I made a bet with Joe, made a bet with Zuck. They both love Murphy. I love Pico. And he said, I demand answers. And then he doubled down and commented again on that same video and says, I want answers. Then he went to the new video and said, yo, can you talk about Pico? So here's me going to explain my Pico take and why I picked him. And I kind of said it I rarely rewatch the show back. I rewatched what I said. And basically it's simple. I've been capping and doing this for a long time that my fandom, I feel like is weakening a little bit. I don't root for fighters like I used to. I root for my bet, right? And I want to be able to have at least a couple fighters where regardless of money lines, whatever, I root for. I liked Aaron Pico for a long time. He is a kind of guy that we need in MMA. This is a dude that probably could have made the Olympic team wrestling when he was 17, 18, 19, whatever years old, right? He was that good. He was that big of a prospect. Decided not to do that, to go fighting. He boxed, he did jiu-jitsu, his wrestling, everything's there. He's a special kind of athlete, and I love that. If I had his talent, if I had his work ethic, that's what I would have done as well, because I love MMA so much. I don't have that. I'm a lazy guy who didn't know what he wanted to be until he was 24 years old, right? This dude was 17 and knew what he wanted to be, and I fucking admire that, and I love that. And not to mention, he's very good, he's very skilled, and he's running against Lauren Murphy. So at some point, even though I'm a capper and the number on Murphy looked amazing, I got to back my guy, right? And I only have a handful in this sport. So my guy is Aaron Pico. I think he's that special. I think he's that good. Evan Longoria texted me when we were the day of the fights, or the day before the fights maybe, and he said, who do you got? Who do you like? Blah, blah, blah. And he goes, let's make it interesting. You pick, I'll give you who I'm betting. If you're opposite of me, we'll play those fights. So he liked Cannonier, I like MVP, so we had money on that. And he liked Murphy, I like Pico. So we ended up, it was a wash. And he said, you really that confident in Pico? I don't think he saw the show with me expressing my confidence. I said, yes, I'm worried about his chin though, because we have seen when he was a young man, and we have seen now in the UFC, the chin isn't the best in the world. There's nothing, you can prepare your body all you want. The chin is a mystery in all of boxing. Yeah, you can do neck workouts, you can do all these things like that. You know, they say the head size matters, the jaw size matters, your bone density matters. It's a mystery, right? Because fucking Bigfoot Silva won the biggest heads at MMA, and he didn't have the best chin, right? So it's a fucking mystery, right? And Pico got slapped. I mean, he just now woke up, right? But before that, I thought he was looking okay, right? I watched it live. I was excited because I had a big bet on Pico. And I thought like, oh, he's very aggressive, and he was landing really good body shots. He had him against the cage a few times. And I was like, oh, he's aggressive. I like this. And then I go back and watch it. Maybe this is me going back and watching it, knowing that Pico lost or whatever, but it was too much. He was stepping in the fire a little too much, wasn't protecting himself. I mean, that's how he got caught. He went head first and got caught with the aggression. So, but to answer Derek Myers' question, I demand answers. Sometimes I got to rock with my guys. I have no problem, zero problem putting my dick on this table and going, this guy's going to win. I love him, baby, to the moon, and him lose. I don't care. I'm not one of these cappers. There's several big ones out there that are fence guys, that they sit on a fence, right? And they give you why this guy can win and why this guy can win, and why this guy can lose and why this guy can lose. And then they kind of make a pick, right? And a lot of people say, hey, that's good capping, right? That's the way it should be. You should, I don't disagree with that, right? But sometimes it's a little annoying because I want definitive answers when I'm listening to people. I want to know why I'm picking so and why you're confident, right? With the fence stuff, and then you're right down the middle. And then if fighter that you do pick wins, you're like, I told you that's how he's going to win. If he loses, you're like, I explained in my breakdown, that's why he was going to lose. Can't have it both ways. I think every capper in this business, if they put their dick on the table, and not every bet and not every pick has to be a dick on the table bet, but if you put your dick on the table, you own it. You own that loss. A lot of these fucking cappers are too sensitive about losing, and they're not happy when they lose. No one's happy when they lose. Everyone wants to win, but sometimes you got to learn to take it on the chin. You got to learn to take it on the chin. And with the Pico, I took it right on the chin. I didn't think I needed to address it, but Derek Myers, longtime commentator on the channel, I'll address it, right? Dead wrong read. I thought he was looking pretty good. Hindsight, over aggressive. I still think if he can clean some things up, because he's still very young, I think he's a real prospect with his skills. Does the chin scare me? Absolutely. It's going to scare me. But there's ways to mitigate the danger with a bad chin. His wrestling's on point. Really be defensive minded as opposed to so aggressive. I think the UFC jitters got to him, and he was in there with a killer against Lauren Murphy. So I have no regrets. No regrets whatsoever. I pick Aaron Pico 10 out of 10 times because that's my guy. At some point, you got to back your guy. He's my guy. All right. Who should, the final thing here, on 392 News. Who should Chimaev fight next? RDR versus Fluffy is happening in Vancouver, and Imamov and Borello in Paris. Who gets the next title shot? So Joe hit me up on the DMs on Twitter last week and asked me who I think of. Did he ask me who gets the next title shot or who out of these four gives Chimaev the best fight? Can't remember. Either way, I picked Fluffy. My answer is Fluffy. That cardio, that grappling, I want to see against a guy like Chimaev. Chimaev proved 5-round cardio, proved his grappling is next level. I want to see it against a guy like Fluffy. My second pick would be RDR. I would love to see RDR. He's a giant man. Would love to see him enter the grappling realm with Chimaev and see what happens, because RDR is very nifty, very crafty on the floor. Big, tall, long guy as well. Has really exceeded my expectations in the UFC. And then I would go Imamov. I think Imamov is put in a lot of work. He's got some hiccups in the UFC, but I think he's put in a lot of work. He's looked pretty good. And then Borello's last. Borello hasn't fought in 18 months or something like that. I know, he's the captain of almost, the face of the Fighting Nerds or whatever, which is a great team, but he hasn't done anything. Do something, fight somebody. They're fighting in Paris September 6th. That's the next card. That's a really good main event. I think I'm slightly leaning Imamov. John Anik would kill me right now if I'm mispronouncing his name. I should learn it before next week. I think I'm leaning him against Borello. I know Borello has good jiu-jitsu, has good stand-up. His chin's been pretty good, but I just think Imanov's takedown defense is good. I think the one thing that's really hindered his career, at least in the UFC so far, is his cardio, which I think he's straightened out. RDR versus Fluffy, I kind of hate the matchup because you're eliminating two guys that are ready for Chimaev, but that's clearly Chimaev saying I'm not fighting till next year to the Paramount deal, because he could have probably turned around and fought in October in Abu Dhabi, and they booked RDR versus Fluffy in Vancouver in October, so it looks like Chimaev's going to be held out to next year. Maybe December. Maybe we'll get a Chimaev December fight, but I doubt it. In the RDR Fluffy fight, I'm leaning Fluffy because he's my guy. I think he's a really tough dude to beat, and he's a special kind of dude. So give me Fluffy versus RDR. Give me Imanov versus Borello. I'm allowed to change my picks. These are pre-flop. And I think Fluffy should fight Chimaev next. If he doesn't get it, if he doesn't get it, he beats RDR. You can't leapfrog a winner of Amaya versus Borello. So, the UFC knows what they're doing. I'm going to trust them to know what they're doing. But yeah, I don't know. Give me Fluffy though. That'd be interesting. All right. So last week was China, UFC China. It was a fun card. A lot of fun KOs. My slime ball finally hit plus 569 bitches. Let me just read what the slime ball was. It was Charles Johnson dog money. Get that dog money, babe.
A dog. We don't need no meows. We don't need no cats. We need more dogs.
We need more dogs. And Charles Johnson was an absolute dog in that fight. He was trailing behind, never gave up himself, and won with a spectacular knockout. Slow down Lonnie Kavanaugh. Before that, we had Soo Young Yu, who a lot of people maybe didn't think he won that fight over Long Zhao. I thought it was very close, but God damn it, sometimes you need the ball to bounce your way. Sometimes you need the ball to bounce your way, and that did. So those are my first two legs. And then a guy I cannot pronounce. We got lucky on this one too. Tyalake Nuraji. He fought Kiefer Crosby. I had him double chance knockout or sub. He threw that fucking illegal knee. I thought it was over. I thought, if he lost by DQ, we're fucked. If it's a no contest, then we just do the two legs. But Kiefer Crosby kept fighting, and we got the knockout there, babe. And I couldn't be more happy. 569, 5-1 for the haters. I had Charles Johnson separate as well. I flipped my pick on Chris Dawkins, who we'll talk about at the end of here. But yeah, I had a pretty good night. If Mingyang Zhang would have won, I would have had maybe one of the better nights of 2025 for my boy. But he didn't. And I love Johnny Walker. I don't love Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker's an interesting dude. He won. He didn't look fantastic, I don't think. I think Zhang, maybe got a little tired. He obviously got his leg kicked off, and that hurt. But Walker called out the chin haters. oh, my chin don't suck. I have chin or whatever. Bro, you ain't got chin, bro. You got wobbled with little shots in the whole fight. Yeah, you didn't comically fall down like you normally do, but it's weird that the chin thing was the first thing he said. I got chin. I still think his chin stinks. I'm going to bet against that chin every single time until he goes up to heavyweight. I think the weight cut's killing him. I don't think his chin's great anyway, but I think the weight cut to 205 being as big as he is cannot help things. But I love that he called it out, so it's clearly in his mind. He's clearly hearing people saying it. He's clearly saying it. He's been knocked out 6 times in his MMA career. Bad. There's that one fight in the regional scene where he got knocked out like 10 times in one fight. But yeah, his chin still stinks. Ortega missing weight, unprofessional once again. He needs to go to 55, right? I mean, that's it. The UFC needs to give him a Kelvin Gastelum ultimatum. Kelvin Gastelum, 170, missed it a bunch of times. Like, you're at 85 now. Or get the fuck out. He went to 85. Ortega's got to go to 55, right? There's no more 45, right? And again, if he doesn't agree, cut him. I mean, at what point does Brian Ortega bring in value-wise here? I mean, he's a good-looking guy. He can't have exciting fights or whatever. But again, he hasn't had a signature win in years. He might have a really good relationship with UFC. Things happen, but I don't think you can allow this dude to cut to 45 anymore. He barely stumbled. He stumbled out like fucking drunk as shit, getting to stare down with Aljo. 55 or get the fuck out. Right? If he goes, him and his team go, nah, we're 45. We got unfinished. A lot of fighters say that we got unfinished business at 45. We want to stay at 45. Okay. Go fight somewhere else in 45. Because if you're fighting the UFC, it's at 55, bro. Aljo dominated. Aljo looked really good. He was my mortal lock. I had him by submission, which I didn't hit. He had a couple moments later in that fight where possibly, I wouldn't say it was close, but there was a time he had Ortega's back where I was like, huh? Because it was plus 400, and I went, ooh. I went, huh? But nothing materialized. But, he kind of had I like Aljo. I don't know Aljo personally. I know people think I do because, Cody used to be a producer for a show. And then obviously the Ray Longo. I don't know Aljo. Never met him. Never talked to him. I don't hate him or think he's as corny as everyone else. I know a lot of people dislike him. They think he's corny, yada, yada. I don't really see that. I see a guy who has a unique sense of humor. Everybody's individualistic. I appreciate that. But I didn't like his weird call out. I get it. You're 36. You want one more title shot. This ain't getting you a title shot, my guy. Unless Evil Lev and Yair and fucking Leo Murphy all get hurt and you're the only guy standing in December, maybe we'll give you a title shot because you do have a name. You're a former champion at 135. He dominated this fight. I thought he looked good. He fucked up his elbow on that spinning elbow attempt. Got a little hairy from in the 5th round. He moved. Listen, he looked good. Should he get Volk? No, not in my opinion. He shouldn't get Volk. He should win one more at 45 against one of those guys' name. Give him Yair. I don't want to see a rematch with Evil Lev, even though it was a very close fight. I wouldn't be. I don't think the UFC would give him Murphy because it's a bad matchup for Murphy. But, Yair would be a good fight. Let him beat Yair. And if you can not dominate, but if you can beat Yair, and especially if you can finish Yair on the ground with some submissions, we'll give you a look, a little poke at the title. But right now, nah. Just because you and Volk are 36, nah, you ain't getting that shot, bro. You ain't getting that shot. Charles Johnson is an underdog at free money. Charles Johnson as an underdog is free money at this point, 100%. I mean, the guy cashed as underdog left and right. Everyone was on it, which made me worried. He was my dog lock. I second guessed it. Kenny put his Kenny Florian stamp on Kavanaugh, who I do think is a talented guy. Thought it was too much too soon against a guy like Charles Johnson. And it proved to be. Kavanaugh got his body chewed up. He slowed down significantly. And then Charles Johnson's just going to fight for your dollar every single time. How can you not back the guy at dog money, especially when he's not going against a fucking elite grappler, a fellow striker? And I think Charles Johnson is going to, and apparently he had $6 in his bank account or something like that. So obviously he was literally fighting for his life because he's got a kid. You can't have $6 in your bank account when you got kids. And then welcome back, Kyle Dawkins. It was a pick switch, a bet switch. I apologize I did not tweet that out because I was very tired. But yeah, I just felt something. It could have been the blonde hair. You know, because I used to have an old T-shirt I made back in the day. It was my system play, and it was always bet on blonde. When guys dye their hair blonde, it's like a 98% win ratio. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. But he has dyed his hair blonde, and I just, I like Pieta. I think it was just kind of a sleepwalking pick for me when I picked Pieta because I know Kyle Dawkins, his run in the UFC kind of ended ceremoniously. But if you look at what he did outside the UFC, it looked really good. His confidence was there. Did I see him knocking Pereira out? No. But I just thought he would have been a little too much, even if Pereira was going to want to take him down. I think Kyle's grappling is a little better than people give him credit for. And what a fucking explosive knockout, dude. Brutal counter right hook. Put him flat out. Pereira's tough as shit. Wakes up and then just gets his fucking head elbowed. He goes out one more 2 times and then he pops up like everything's fine. I had no problem with that stoppage. But welcome back, Kyle Dawkins. I think he got 50K as well. I think I saw, listen, I don't want to be negative. This is this guy's dream and this is this guy's what he wants to do in his life. But I feel like it might be a little too soon to be talking about a title, right? He said something about the title, right? Like I don't remember the exact quote. Maybe I'll put it on the screen when I edit this. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. Either you like it or you love it. I don't know if I like that. All right, so the 2 final things here. We can talk about the burn barrel again. You guys, listen, I'll give you my address if you got stuff to burn, okay? We'll come over. We'll have a fucking ball, okay? The burn barrel is electric. But I got 3PC forum questions. I opened up a chat on 3PC, and I said, give me your hottest, wildest MMA takes. We're going to end with that. I'm going to give you my Paramount Demands. So, if you've been living under a rock, you're not a UFC fan, whatever the case may be, the UFC is headed to Paramount Plus, which I am a member. I have every streaming service. I'm a fucking goob. Okay. I have them all. You name them, I have them. Right. So they're going to Paramount Plus. Kind of a surprise. I have insiders, not really. But I really thought it was going to be Amazon. Amazon was going to split maybe with someone else. There was reports that Bezos really wanted it, I don't know. And the Paramount Plus comes in and offers $7.7 billion and no more pay-per-views. I'm sure the price, I pay $12.99 a month for Paramount Plus. I'm sure it's going to go up with UFC. That's fine. Here are my demands though, Paramount Plus. Okay. And I strongly suggest you grab a fucking pen because I'm not messing around. Okay. I'm not messing around. I've been stuck with ESPN Plus for however many years now. The app stinks. The format stinks. Okay. So grab a fucking pen, grab a laptop. Here we go. I want full walkouts, number one, right? I want to see every single fighter's walkout. I'll pay more. I'll pay more to see every fighter's walkout, right? Hulu's got that pay more for no ads, right? Peacock's got no ads, right? I'll pay more. I want to see every walkout. I love the fighters walkout. I get a lot of tingling when fighters walk out. I feel like I can read body language. I feel like I'm a savant when they walk out. Oh, this guy's nervous. This girl, whatever. I want walkouts. I'll pay more. Number 2, no commercials. I'll pay more. Just like I was saying with Peacock, just like I was saying with Hulu, they have a subscription tier where you can pay more for no commercials. I will pay more for no commercials. And if there are commercials, mix them up. No repeating. I can't tell you how many times I sat there on a Saturday and I've watched the same commercial over and over again for ESPN. ESPN Plus, they cut to the commercial and it's the same. The only event on ESPN Plus that was not commercial was the pay-per-views. They threw a couple of ads on but they didn't cut to commercial. I don't want commercials. I'll pay more. And if some fucking world where you're like, hey, well, we got to throw commercials on there to pay for this 7.7 billion thing we just paid for, mix them up. Mix them up. You can hire me, okay? I am available to come in and curate the commercials for you. Enough's enough, but no commercials. Better app. We need a better app. I'm an Apple guy, so I have an Apple TV and I have an iPhone. Better app for Apple TV. ESPN app was the worst. I know a lot of people had problems like buffering, and they had problems with not seeing the fights or whatever. That rarely happened to me. Knock on wood. Rarely happened to me. But it wouldn't like every time I log in, I'd be logged in. I look to the left. Hey, there you are. MMA Takes Podcast, logged in. And I go and click on the fights. It says you got to log in and access that. And then I got to scan a QR code and go through this whole thing. It's like, whoa, what the fuck? I'm logged in, right? That is annoying. You got to get a better app. Paramount Plus apps right now it's like all the other streaming apps, but they need a dedicated place, a dedicated tab, a dedicated everything to a UFC. You paid $7.7 billion for this product, right? I'm going to be able to access everything and anything with a click of a button, right? The left toolbar, home, movies, TV shows, blah, 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 blah. UFC. You click on the UFC, it brings you to a dedicated UFC page. All the live events are there. All the countdowns are there. Everything's right there. It's not that hard, baby. It's not that hard. And my last little bit here, which this is kind of a dream because UFC still controls production. When they were in ESPN, UFC has amazing producers. They control production. But I would love a ref cam, right? PFL does it. Risen, Pride had it. Throw some glasses on Keith Peterson and let's get a little ref cam action. I'm not really sure why the UFC's never done that. Is that a Dana thing? Is that like we just don't want that? I kind of like the ref cam at times. I think that's kind of a cooler view, mixing up highlights. We're in a world of highlights. We're in a world of posting clips on social media. Why not have the most clips possible? And I think the ref cam can add to that. And more gambling content. Now, listen. This one comes a little bit close to home because, beep, 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 beep. I'm a phone call away. To be joining the production, but more gambling content and big pay-per-views and fight nights. Yanni the Greek does a great job. I know a lot of people have mixed opinions on Yanni the Greek. He does a great job on the Contender Series. And in between fights and whatnot, he gives his picks, he gives his breakdowns, he gives his bets or whatever, and he really breaks down a lot of fights analytically by the gambling content. Gambling's just such a huge part of this world. They don't really do it on pay-per-view. John will read off, and John does a great job. He'll read off a little screenshot of like what you could win if you bet this or whatever. But I would like to see them popping every once in a while. Now, I know to do minty bets, but kind of revamp it a little bit. Don't cut back to the studio. I don't even know if minty bets works for the UFC or ESPN. But they need to, I think, add a little more gambling content to the big pay-per-views and fight nights. I also would love to see them adding the PFL does it with Ian Parker and the coach or whatever, adding like a team, for gambling as well. That's just me being selfish because that's kind of right up my alley. That's kind of whatever. And I don't want to see guys like Chael Sonnen and Anthony Smith, give us bets. I don't want to see them breaking down over and they don't bet, they don't gamble, right? It's fake. It's fugazi. Get a real guy in there, a real girl in there. There's a lot of talented people in this realm that could do that job. And I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think it'd be cool. Now, I know there's a lot of people who don't gamble and they're going to be like, oh, that's white noise. That's fine. But there are people who do gamble and who'll watch that and go, it's kind of cool. They're giving some plays out or whatever like that. But yeah, that's it. Those are my demands. And again, hey, Paramount Plus, fucking listen. I just got a text from Russ. Let's see. Here we go. So I can officially announce breaking news, everybody. 3PC, 3punchcombo.com. Go there now, baby. Sign up. Chase Hooper is a sponsored fighter ambassador, and Dean Thomas is an MMA industry ambassador. Woo! Now give it up. I don't have any clap at my soundboard. Chasey Hoops, the Hoop, 3PC fighter ambassador. Dean Thomas, Dean, the Dean machine. Been around MMA forever. MMA industry ambassador. They're signed. It's official. You fucking heard it here first, baby. Let's go. Join 3PC. What are you waiting for? All right, speaking of 3PC, great segue into give me your hottest takes. There's a lot of stuff here. We're at 44 minutes. We're great. I'm probably going to have to edit this down because a lot of you guys gave some great takes. So I said, boys, I need great takes. My first hot take in the MMA, and I want takes where if you said it in a room full of MMA people, you might get some looks. You might go, this what, really? My first one is Fedor. Fedor was never that good and wouldn't have sniffed the UFC title. I felt that like forever. Undersized, had a good run in Japan against, sure he beat Big Nog, he got Crow Cop, but got lucky. I mean, Kevin Randall was slaying him on his head, he should have lost. Comes to the States, he's not on that Russian gas, allegedly. And what does he do? He has a fucking war with Brett Rogers, who worked at a tire shop at Sam's. Gets knocked out by a 206-pound Dan Henderson. Doom taps him out like it's nothing. Fedor was never that good. And if he would have came to the UFC, remember Dana flew to the island, wanted him to fight Brock Lesnar. And I don't think Brock Lesnar was the greatest UFC champion of all time. I think he was a marketing juggernaut. I think it was a genius move signing him. And he was the guy that came from the wrestling world that did the best that anybody's ever going to do. But he wouldn't have sniffed the title. He wouldn't have got past Brock. Too undersized, too small. And then I thought, if that's too old school, I think Islam is better than Khabib. Islam has better title defenses than Khabib. Khabib retired. I get that. Khabib could have been better. We could have been talking about coulda, woulda, shoulda. I'm talking about what I've seen and what I've. I think Islam has better stand up. I think he's a better finisher, and I think he has better wins than Khabib. Volk twice, Gaethje, Poirier. Man, those two were fucking Khabib's wins as well. Either way, I think Islam is better than Khabib. I do. I believe that. I think he'll go down better. And I think if you say that Khabib, I think Khabib might not disagree with you. Khabib Nurmagomedov. And then let's get to the comments here. Skype Topher. So like Christopher, but Skype Topher. Bruv. He says bruv. Hopefully he's English. I love a good bruv. Can anyone know if Islam is better than Khabib once Islam retires based on his current status? Not yet, at least. I think you compare what he's done and what Khabib did in his career to what Islam's now. Islam's going up in weight. He might win. What we got here? Jesus Christ. He might win at 170. That's a 2-pound difference. Or a two title champ right there. How do you talk, Brian? 2 weight division champ. Not to mention, even if he loses, he went up. Khabib never did. I think Islam takes it over Khabib right now. And then Sky Topper says his hottest take is that we just lost the post-fight interview GOAT for a few measly pounds on Brian Battle. Disagree strongly. Brian Battle, I don't know if he's the post-fight GOAT. I got to give that to Nate the Train. But you got to make weight, bro. You beg the UFC to go to 70, miss. They bring you back to 85 and you miss again. Like, you got to make weight, right? Hopefully he matures. He's fighting in Dirty Boxing, I think, this Friday. Strong. They had to cut him. I would have cut him. I would have cut him on the spot. I wouldn't even want to wait till he got home. He missed weight. He gets off that thing. And I know the fight was going to happen, and then something happened. I don't know why the fight didn't happen. Either way, I would have been like, all right, you're gone. Done. So, yeah, get out of here. Hall of Famer Lunatic says, watch Dirty Boxing 3 this weekend. Yeah, assuming he makes weight and wins. Johnny Lawrence, Hall of Famer on 3PC. I love this one, BP. My hottest take, well, really a hotter question. Why don't fighters kick arms or teeps the elbow joint when an opponent is posting and trying to get back to their feet? It is simply an unspoken agreement to avoid gruesome injuries. I see what he's saying. So when a guy's posted on the ground, why doesn't a fighter kick his elbow, kick his arms, kick whatever? They take his arm from underneath him. I'm sure there's some instances that they do. It really would depend on the position that you're in. If you're like riding a guy and you got to get your knee around, it's kind of a hard, awkward situation where even if you throw that knee, I think your arm is going to have more of a base to it than your knee would allow. Might hurt, might hyperextend it, but I think it's going to be okay. And I know there's some unspoken agreement with some fighters. I know foot stomping, a lot of guys find kind of dirty. If you ever see them against cage or foot stomping, it's kind of an old school thing, trying to break their toes and stuff. A lot of guys kind of go, what are we doing here? And then back in the day when John Jones retched Glover Teixeira's shoulder, right? Like inside that clinch, and everyone's like, whoa, what the fuck was that, right? I don't really know if that's a hidden rule or whatever. We've seen a video of Sean Strickland with that jiu-jitsu guy who's now dead. Can't remember his name. Type it in Google. or YouTube, Sean Strickland Fights Jiu-Jitsu guy. The guy did the same thing to Sean. He tweaked his arm and Sean flipped out. So something MMA fans aren't really, MMA fighters aren't really used to. But yeah, I think it would positionally you'd have to. No. And he goes, like, I'm ragdolling you, either trying to get back up or even grounding yourself and you can't get kneed. Why would I hit your supporting arm with a ferocious leg kick or teep to the elbow joint fight over? I don't know if the fight would be over. And it really just would matter. I have to visually see it. I'm trying to visually see it right now. And it's just, it's easier said than done because I know when you're grabbing a hold of somebody, there's things you want to do. And like, they're obviously resisting and you're trying to, they're resisting and you're trying to use your strength. So trying to throw something like that might be a little different, but yeah, I'll have to see it visually. Johnny Lawrence, make a YouTube video of you doing this to a buddy, not really doing it, but I kind of want to see what you're talking about. Russ Rain, 3PC, one of the main guys. Men's featherweight is the most entertaining division in the UFC. I don't know. I mean, I'm so ingrained to go back to just 55, but if a gun to my head, I really would say 70 right now. 170 pounds to me is so fucking good. There's so many good guys, and I feel like the champion's beatable. And Jack, I love to name Jack, but he's not like this dominant champion yet, and he's an exciting fighter. I feel like that division's wide open. I'm not going to disagree with you, because 145 is one of the most entertaining divisions in the UFC, but I feel like we kind of got the same cast of characters up there. And if Evil wins the title, then it's definitely not the most entertaining division in the UFC, but it's up there. I would say my top three divisions in the UFC right now, 170, 155, and 145. It might be even a tie for 135 and 185, all right there. 185 is popping too, guys. 185 is popping too. He also says Corey Anderson would be champ if he was still in the UFC. No. I love you, Russ. I think Corey Anderson did phenomenal stuff over in Bellator and really, won a title over there and had some really exciting fights, and really got better too. He got really good, like better than he was in the UFC, but. No, he ran into some guys in the UFC that chinned him, and I just don't know if I don't see him beating. 205. Alexander Rakic, maybe. I don't see him beating Rakic, and maybe he get past Rakic. I don't see him beating Jared Cannonier. I don't see him beating MVP. I don't think he'd be champ in the UFC. Don't think he would be, Russ. But Russ is such a supporter of MMA. He likes everyone from other companies. Maybe I have a disdain for Corey Anderson because he's at another company and he's a champ somewhere else. He did just come out and say he wasn't giving a title shot because of social media lacked or whatever. Maybe. He has some decent wins in the UFC. I have to go back and look at his record, but maybe I can see Hunter Campbell saying that. I don't know Hunter Campbell, but I've heard he doesn't mince words and he's a fucking straight up honest dude that tells you like it is. So possibly. Jake's ZCZ14. Hot take: Tom Aspinall is a lot more vulnerable at heavyweight champ than people think. He will not have more than 2 title defenses. And then my boy Timbo, who is a known hater of a lot of fighters that I like, says, I came here to say that, so now I got to think of something else. So he came here to reiterate Jake's point that Tom Aspinall is more vulnerable as the UFC champ than people think. And 2 title defenses. So who's going against next? Gon. He'll beat Gon. And then, who else is there? Pavlovich rematch. Volkov. Who's that heavyweight? Who's that heavyweight that could sniff him? You know what I mean? Let's look while we're doing it. Because I want to give you my honest opinion. Heavyweight division is probably the worst division in the UFC. It's a division I don't think about quite often. They're signing any heavyweight that steps in to the Contender Series will get a shot. All right, so Gon is ranked 1. He's next. He'll beat Gon. Volkov, Pavlovich. He beats Volkov. He beats Pavlovich. He beats Blades. Beats Almeida. Acosta just lost to Pavlovich. Tybora's ranked 7th. Spivak's ranked 8th. Derek Lewis 9, Tai Tuivasa is 10. Tai Tuivasa is 10th. I feel like Tai Tuivasa hasn't won a fight in 10 years. Shimon Gaziev is 11th. Mick Parkins 12, training partner. Tyson Teixeira got exposed. Walter Walker could be interesting. And Rizvev Kuniev is 15. No, I disagree. I think he'll get more than 2 title defenses. I think he'll be gone. If he fights Volkov, I think he beats Volkov. I think he rematches Sergey, beats Sergey. Curtis Blades, I think he beats Curtis Blades again. I know they're 1-1, but he blew his knee out. Johnson Almeida, I don't think holds a candle to him. Tyboro's a joke. You got to go all the way down to 14 and 15 to really look at some new people. Walter Walker, the leg lock machine, that'd be interesting. And then Rizvev Kuniev, who doesn't really jump out to me. He definitely could win. But no, hot take, no, I disagree with you and Timbo. I think Tom Aspinall is going to have 5 title defenses before he runs into any kind of struggle. He's going to smoke Gane, and then whoever's after Gane, whether it be Volkov, Pavlovich. I mean, really, would they throw Blades in there? Blades is having surgery, so probably not. Yeah, I think he's got 5 or more title defenses. That's my hot take. I'll counter your hot take with a hot take. 5 more title defenses. Russ disagrees. Jake McElfresh. Not sure how hot this is, but I don't think the UFC should add more weight classes. I personally wouldn't want divisions to become watered down. I love the death of some of these divisions or become anything like boxing with other weight classes. It does diminish being a champion very slightly because it starts to feel like everyone is a champ, if that makes sense. I know it's exaggerated. At the same time, there are a few reasons I can think of will be beneficial to adding weight classes, but in my opinion, I don't think it would be the right move overall. I kind of agree with Jake, right? Because if we add 165, then they're going to want to add a cruiserweight. They're going to want to add one between 205 and heavyweight. So right then and there's always going to be an excuse to add a division. I get it. Some guys are too small to fight at 70, too big at 55. 165 is kind of like a good happy medium. But I agree with Jake. I don't think there should be weight. The only weight class I would approve of that right now is I think there should be an atom weight for women, 105 pounds. There are a lot of women who are sizing up to fight at 115 who are not 115-pound fighters. If Michelle Waterston debuted in the UFC and they had a 105, she would have fought at 105. I think there are a lot of small, really good fighters out there at 105. I know maybe it might not be the most marketing in the world who wants to watch 205-pound women fight, but they're super highly skilled. And I think if you add a division, add one for the women's at 105. Before you add 145 for women again, add 105. All right. So a lot of this is just conversations between, lunatics and BMS is totally a gimmick. I don't think there's a hot take there. Matt Ballsy, I believe this is the Chicago guy. If I'm not mistaken, Bilal would have beaten Shavkat and would beat JDM in a rematch. I'm a Bilal guy, right? I'm a Bilal guy. Everyone knows that. I would have loved to see the Shavkat fight. He was the only guy really calling Shavkat out. I think if Bilal wrestled with Shavkat, it'd be interesting. Shavkat striking, he's a big, tall, long guy. His striking is pretty potent, and Bilal's defense isn't the best, as we've seen in the JDM fight. I went back and watched the JDM fight with Bilal. It was a lot closer than I originally thought, right? Obviously, I thought JDM won. I thought it was 3-2. I thought it came down to that 5th round, though. But that was a fucking good fight, dude. That was really good. So I'm not going to – I think both those are solid takes. I mean, he could definitely beat Shavkat and JDM in a rematch for sure. But I think I agree with that, but again, I'm a Bilal guy. A lot of people in these forums aren't going to believe that, Lunatic says right here. I think I agree with Shavkat. I'm not sure about JDM. Just since we're on the topic, Sean Brady will be Bilal in a rematch. Now that's an interesting one. That's by the GOAT Local MMA. Sean Brady's a killer, underrated guy. A lot of people don't want to fight in this division. He had a lot of health issues early in his UFC career. I believe he was dealing with something in the Bilal fight. I just think it's a bad matchup for both guys. It's going to come down to, I think, the boxing. Both their grappling, I think, will wash out. Bilal's impossible to take down, to hold down. Bilal's also got really good wrestling. His cardio's really, really good. Sean Brady, though, I think if he's going to get a Bilal rematch, he needs to just work on his boxing. I think his boxing is technically okay. He kind of keeps his hands where they need to be, but there's no real power behind it, unfortunately. And there needs to be a little bit more intent when you throw a Bilal, and a Bilal Canelo hands, Canelo hands, man. He's going to stick a move and he's going to hit you. And I don't think Sean Brady likes to be hit. And if you wipe out Sean Brady's grappling, he might be a sitting duck on the feet. However, I do like that take. I think Sean Brady is super underrated. Him versus Blount in rematches is a fight that's going to have to happen. Ballsy says, another one I believe is we won't see another 3-division champion in our lifetime. Neither Ilya or Pereira win another Neither Ilya or Pereira win another weight, in my opinion. I can't see Ilya winning 170. He's too small. Pereira could go to heavyweight though, man. Pereira could go to heavyweight. I'm a big Alex Pereira fan. He could go to heavyweight. I don't know. That's tough though. That is tough. I'm going to just slightly disagree with you. I don't think Ilya can do it, even though I think the world of Ilya. I think he's unreal, but he's small, right? Pereira is a big dude. He could go up another way to heavyweight. There's a guy earlier in the chat that says Tom Aspinall's weak. Pereira might be the guy. Johnny Lawrence says, I'll go related direction. I said, I don't want to see double champs. I hate the whole idea. The only time I endorse this if you would offend both simultaneously, meaning twice as active. Willing belt in 2 different weight. Yeah, that's kind of a Conor thing. Daniel Cormier defended in 2 different weight classes. Conor won it. Just that shot of him being with 2 titles. He never defended either of them, right? And did he try to defend the 55? I think he probably did. Never did the 45 again. But yeah, that's like a Conor thing. I don't know if I hate it as much as it's like when the guy, right when he wins the title in that weight class, he goes, I'm moving up. It's like, dude, there's a lot of guys for you to fight here. I don't love that. But, I know everyone's out there chasing greatness. One another hot take, people like Ariel are poison the sport of MMA. Now, I've seen this. Local MMA and Hall of Famer Lunatic says, I can't stand Ariel. I'll happily admit he's great at reporting, but his personality rubs me the wrong way big time. Also, he's so vindictive towards anyone who dares to say anything bad about him. They don't spend a minute 30 making some comments from Ariel and then make 45-minute video discussing it and shitting all over him. Maybe he's even right, but it's just over the top. Correct. So if people don't know about my situation with Ariel, I'm not banned from talking about him. I have people that I've promised I wouldn't make a big spectacle about talking about Ariel Helwani because I shared some emails with him many years ago. 2009, 2010. I thought he was slightly rude to me, irrelevant about the point. I made a video why I don't like Ariel Helwani, and for some stupid reason, I added that part in there, when really it wasn't even that big of a deal. However, he calls me out in his show. He had some of the emails we had. I don't even have access to the email address anymore. So I got fucking hammered online. I'm a liar. I'm this. He was tagging John Anik and Kenny Florian. It was a mess. So I've been trying to be polite, not really discuss Ariel thing. I'm glad other people see it that way too. He branched off. He did his own crown thing. I don't know how great it's doing. I follow people. I don't follow him on social media. I do follow people who are very anti-Helwani who will retweet his things and stuff. And that's probably my biggest gripe with him, right? I'm a fighter first guy. I always support the fighters. His show is what his show is because fighters come on, right? His relationship with the fighters is why he has views. In the minute a fighter disagrees with him or a minute a fighter says something negative in the most smallest way. Obviously, if someone calls you a cocksucker, you're going to defend yourself. But if it's like the smallest little slight on him, he'll spend his whole show tearing that fighter apart, showing receipts and everything like this. And then there's some great videos on YouTube, a compilation people made where it's like Ariel will say, I would never do that. I'd never do such a thing. And they cut to a video of him doing the same thing. So he acts like he's holier than thou. He's put in work. His fan base is rabid. They're savages. They will come after you. But I agree. I'm not an Ariel guy. I haven't been for a while. Yeah, I'm glad other people view it as well. This is a safe place. This is a safe place for me. I'm glad other people see it. Vaughn says, I can't stand Nina drama content. There, I said it. Yeah, a lot of people don't like her stuff. I feel like she's getting kind of special treatment from Dana White. She has a good relationship with Dana. She's a cute girl, all that stuff. But yeah, I don't really necessarily watch her interviews And I don't have anything bad against her. I don't think she's entertaining. I don't think she's like funny. I know she's trying to do things different kind of way, ask different kind of questions and lighten the mood. I understand the concept behind it. I just don't view it. It's not something I really watch, but I wouldn't say I can't stand her or whatever, but I do see a lot of people say that. Probably because she went from 0 to 100 pretty quick. And now there's like commercials of her, like weird commercials when she's in it and shit. And then I looked her up. I didn't even know who she was. She kind of came from nowhere. And she's like Playboy and shit. Like she's naked online and shit. So, but I do feel bad for her fucking husband who apparently films everything, because she's pretty flirty with some dudes. And he's just behind the camera filming it, man. That's maybe that's what they're into. Maybe that's what they're thinking, whatever. Boring fighters. This is from YFF Jarrett. Boring fighters shouldn't be able to do more than anybody else to get a title shot. If the promotion thinks a fighter doesn't deserve a title shot, find somebody who can beat them. Not to mention, it's a bad look when the promotion trashes their own fighters, not risking half their paycheck in the name of entertainment. So we got a Mosar Evil fan here. This is a Mosar Evil fan. I know this is a sport, but it's also an entertainment factor. You do have to kind of deliver. You have to kind of go out there. I understand a lot of people thought Chimaev's performance was boring. I wouldn't say that. I thought it was domination. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I get that. I think Evil though, there are times where I feel like are pretty boring. Several other fighters. But if you beat 11 people in a row and you don't lose, then yeah, boring or not, get a shot at the title. And guess what? If you don't sign me, then right. If you don't want me to beat your champion, don't sign me. Like I remember years ago, Bobby Green, King Green fought Jacob Volkov. Jacob Volkov was this middle school looking teacher motherfucker, chest hair, really boring wrestler. And he had some wins in the UFC, and the UFC just was like, oh, we want to get rid of this guy. But he kept winning. And Bobby took the fight on short notice, went out there and beat Volkov. And apparently got like a discretionary bonus, like the UFC paid him money. This is allegedly. You can probably find the interview with Bobby Green, and then Jacob Volkov was cut like the next day. So there's definitely people that rub the UFC the wrong way with their style, maybe their personality or whatever. But I tend to agree with you. Just because you're labeled boring or dominant doesn't mean that you have to change your ways. It works. And that's what it takes to be a champion at times. I mean, Randy Couture wasn't the most exciting guy in the world. You go back and watch some of his fights. It was very wrestling heavy. You look at the Tito Ortiz win at UFC 44. Like that was boring, right? He wasn't the most exciting guy in the world, but he was celebrated. All right. Last one here, by Lunatic. Got to end on the Hall of Famer here. We need way more points taken away from fouls, like way more. Nearly every foul should be a point. Also more DQs. I don't know why so many fights end in no contest. On the flip side, okay, so he wants more points taken away, 100% agree, and more DQs. So the DQs, I think, is definitely going to be a discretionary thing. I think it's going to be up to the ref and up to what he sees and what he deems intentional or not. So that's a judgment call that can get kind of murky or whatever. But yeah, I would like to see some fights and the DQs. But if you're Cody Brundage or if you're Alexander Romanov, every fight ends in a DQ for you. But yes, if you grab a cage hard, if you foul hard, point right away. I think that should be mandatory because your first warning's in the back. If you're fighting a guy who's going to wrestle you and he double legs you, single legs you, and you're on the cage and you grab that cage hard as fuck, and you prevent that takedown, that's a point loss of position, or put them on the fucking mat, whatever the case may be. I agree though. Nut shots, kicking's hard to judge. You get kicked in the dick once. Hey, clean it up. You get kicked in the dick again. That's a point. Fingers though, a lot of guys for whatever reason, they fight with the finger. A lot of Chinese fighters did that over this weekend. A lot of the Chinese fighters had their fingers, really out. Train it closed, right? Train it closed. I don't know. That one to me is not crazy. That of the years that I did, here we go. I'm going to compare my life to UFC life, but I did many years of sparring with MMA gloves, with poofy MMA gloves, whatever. And I never poked him in the eye. Not once, right? Now I know a fight's a lot different, but I don't understand why that's such a concept. You get poked in the eye, That's an automatic point. No warning. No warning. Thank you, 3PC, for the hottest takes. That's it. That's Wednesday Takes, baby. Woo, I'm sweating. Sweating in this motherfucker. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in on this Wednesday Takes. Go to 3punchconvo.com. We just signed Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper's going to be in there. The Hoop Man. He's gooning. He's gooning all the way. 3PC. And also remember what I said at the top. Go to 3PC. Hit that little direction. Go to the Capper's Cave. And let's build this cartel, baby. Right? Bets on bets on bets on bets on bets. You guys are the best. Thank you. Shout out you guys. Shout out. I think we're at 2,200 subscribers on YouTube. Hopefully by the end of the year, we get to 3K, baby. Get those threes up. 3K. Love you guys. Love you guys.